People who follow me on Twitter will know that every morning I go for my early morning stroll around our village. And people will have seen my tweet this morning about this man that I met. I was walking up the hill and he was walking down the hill, and I thought he was a kind of mobile lighthouse because he was wearing a head torch. And he was a bit like a mobile lighthouse in a storm because he had a very pronounced gait. He was walking very quickly. He was an older man doing his power walking. And as he walked past, he follows me on Twitter, and he walked past and his light was shining in my eyes. And he said, "I see you're off to the bank this evening." I said, "Which bank?" He said, "The Southbank." And he thought, this is true, he thought the Southbank was a special bank for the South where they had more money. I said, no, it's the thing at the Southbank, it's a poetry thing. And he said, oh yeah, the Southbank. He didn't believe me. And I thought, I wish I was making this up, but it's true. But as he walked towards me with this light, I thought, well, this is just like the first poet we're going to hear. It's like Jacqueline Saphra. Jacqueline's book is like being approached up a hill by a bright light, because at first you're not quite sure where the light is coming from. But after a while, you start to realize it's as though the poems in this book have got their own internal light source. The book is about so many things. You can pick out things from individual poems. There are some walruses in it. There are bicycles in it. There's the most glorious celebratory language in this book. But for me, in the end, the book is like the man walking up the hill with the torch. It's about fundamental questions of time and the passing of time, because it took him a while to walk past me. There's a line in here, who would have guessed we'd still be bending time with time to spare? And that's what this book does. It bends time with time to spare. And I'm really pleased that a so-called small press, Nine Arches Press, has been chosen for the T.S. Eliot Awards. Quite right too. So, Jacqueline Saphra.
In the winter of 1962, my mother gathered up her baby, her trembling soul, climbed into the Mini my father had bought as penance for his bad behavior, drove, until she found herself on Hyde Park Corner, traveling round and round in shrinking circles, not sure how to execute the move outwards into another lane, never having been properly taught how to make an exit. Good evening. It is a wondrous thing to be here, up here, representing a small and magnificent press like Nine Arches. It's an absolute delight. I call this book an unreliable memoir of motherhood and daughterhood, but there are certain truths about me. For example, I am the mother of 2 boys and 2 girls, all of whom are present in the audience tonight. And what that means is that I've been in a position to observe certain patterns over the years. This is the world's houses. Girls slamming doors mean I am filled with the loss of myself and the brine of myself and the bursting, ridiculous shape of myself and the endless, embarrassing spill of myself, and what did I break? But boys slamming doors mean only their own reverberant exits in flutters of sawdust, putting hinges out of alignment and shaking floors. Girls cry from their rooms, "Come in, I won't let you in, come in." But boys step out onto streets wearing new hard hands, those rackety limbs and sprung joints. Someone has taught them to try all the world's houses. Someone has told them every door is wide open and theirs for the casual slamming. So there's a section of this book that's set in the late 1970s and early 1980s, which were a very exciting time, I'd say, for gender politics and equality, but also a very confused and confusing time. And this is called Hampstead, 1979. He says he's a Gemini too, always wears white linen to parties, and is a recreational heroin user in an open relationship. He whispers, lunch, writes his number on a £1 note, and yes, on a rainy Friday, he buys me real champagne at Sheiky's, feeds me oysters with his fingers, and pays with the dregs of his overdraft. All night he toys with me, limply but lovingly, on the floor of my childhood room, and when the girlfriend arrives to pick him up the next morning as arranged, but 2 hours early, and his tongue is confusingly in my ear, it falls to my early rising mother to open the door and offer tea and conversation to the girlfriend, who admires my mother's easy way with the I Ching and spider plants, falls in love with her collection of African beads and new alfalfa sprouter, and my mother tells me later is slimmer than I am with longer hair. So a few years ago, I went to an exhibition of modern British sculpture at the Royal Academy, and I entered one particular room where there was a single piece, and it quite took my breath away in not such a pleasant manner. So with strong language and scenes of a sexual nature from the outset. This is Spunk, after Jacob Epstein's sculpture of Adam. His cock hangs at half-mast. It's primed to score, rising, monstrous, nothing like those bland and flaccid members in rooms 3 and 4. Drunk on lust, pumped up with blood, he stands broad on his plinth and howls for cunt. Who dare to leave that call unanswered? This is where we find the source, the first primeval sin. He forced an opening, she let him in. Later they wrote, she asked for it, her pink, seductive flesh, the bruise and not the kiss. You ask who wrote these books, who do you think? Would you, with longing, spread your legs for this? Bear more like him? It seems so far to fall. Must this man be the father of us all? And now for something completely different to finish. When you read all those books about parenthood, when you're expecting, there's one thing they don't really tell you, which is that motherhood goes on forever. It never ends. So this is my last poem. Thank you very much for listening. It's amazing to be here. The doors to my daughter's house. I've seen her stride a way through meadows of folding light to the place where the brow of the hill meets the orchards I planted for her long ago. I've watched her fill her pack with gold and red. I've lingered till she's one with the horizon, willed her towards cities where portals open like arms and all the girls are smart and beautiful, though none so smart and beautiful as she. She swears she's unpacked the runes, the roses, the book of edges I composed for her, that she keeps handy her laugh, her pepper, her third eye, her delicate cudgel. She's learned to work alone in the house of many rooms we dreamed up over nights of moon and milk. the same house she has made manifest in paper, faith, and stone. Blessed with her own sharp glory, she has made it plain that I must never lean against those doors she's carved, the ones that swing open and shut on oiled hinges at intervals I can't predict, where she stands, honed and ready, as the newest weathers of the world rush in and all her tomorrows poise to make their entrances. Thank you.